back to WCB Jazz Vinyl. It occurred to me that it's been a little while since I've made a release calendar update, and I was looking at the calendar, looking at some of the pre-orders that I had had, and there's 5 releases that are coming up, mostly in September, one in October, that I just wanted to bring to your attention in case anybody was interested in checking them out, because I put in the effort to look into these and to figure out some of the details, the mastering source, etc. And I thought maybe that would be useful to some of you folks out there as well. So before we dive in, as always, go ahead and hit like. Of course, you can subscribe to my channel. That would be great. And you can follow me on Instagram. I'm at what_can_brown. So some of these are actually hot off the press. I'm not talking about the Blue Note stuff right now. I'm not talking about OJC. I'm talking about some of these others that they don't just put out like a large calendar for. And I've got some emails that announced some of these releases pretty recently. So without further ado, the first one up, and maybe one of the most exciting, is yet a new version of John Coltrane's A Love Supreme. I've made videos in the past, over the past several years, talking about some of the different editions of A Love Supreme that have been put out. It's been crazy. There was the Super Sense Master Cut, which I bought. There was the Acoustic Sounds version, which I bought. There was the UHQR version that I bought. And guess what? All of those were stereo. So what's different about this one? Well, it's a mono edition. And in fact, according to the press release, this hasn't been made in a new edition in mono in something like 50 years. My guess is that what they mean when they say by that perhaps is sourced from the original mono tapes. So guess what? This is indeed sourced from the original mono tapes, remastered by Ryan K. Smith, pressed on 180 gram vinyl at RTI, tip on gatefold jacket. It's being put out by Verve. So this has, I suppose, some of the hallmarks of what could be a great press or pressing. I've been taking in some of the Verve Club releases over the last several months, and I've actually been really impressed with what they've done. It feels in some ways they sort of took over for Acoustic Sounds and started doing them themselves, and they're doing a great job. So I don't know. This one, is it worth it to have this particular release in mono? I suppose it's a question. I've heard it in mono before. I used to have a white label promo copy that I got in through a collection buy in immaculate shape, and I sold it. But I got something like close to $1,000 for it. So in my mind, it was still a good deal, and that was a couple of years ago. So this is the first, I guess, opportunity since then to have a mono copy. This one is going to be sold for $39.98. It just occurred to me, you also have the ill-fated Vinyl Me Please edition that was supposed to be, what was that, like a 9-disc set that was all focused on A Love Supreme, but when they went under, I guess so did the release. We'll see. So anyway, point is, a lot of options out there. Is it worth it to have it in mono? For some people, I definitely think so. It does sound great in mono. Is it a reason to own 2 copies? Maybe not. Just kind of depends on you and your personal taste, I guess. All right, so sticking on the topic of John Coltrane, the next one up is the Village Vanguard complete recordings. So this is a 7 LP box set. It's being released on this is actually the October one. It's October 24th. The price point is $199, which isn't so bad for 7 LPs in my mind. They're putting this out in an initial quantity. They're very careful to say initial quantity of 2,500, meaning I don't think it's going to be difficult to get, and if it does sell out, maybe they'll make some more. But what you get across these 7 LPs is over 4 hours of music. The material is mastered from the original analog tapes, except for 6 of the tracks that are sourced digitally. I've heard this music before. So this was put out on CD in a variety, I think, of CD sets over the last several decades. And when I was in college, we actually took advantage of what's called the interlibrary loan, where you could basically borrow music or books from other university libraries, and they would ship it to your university, and you would be able to then experience it. And we burned each of the discs, and so I've been listening to them for years and years. And it's great. The complete recordings, the complete Village Vanguard recordings by Coltrane are fantastic. And so this is the first time it's being put out on vinyl. And, I don't know. I mean, it's Verve that's doing it. It's sourced from the original tapes. I mean, I think for Coltrane fans, this probably is a good buy. And in fact, I also put in a pre-order. But do you need that much, I guess, of that particular, like moment in 1961. I don't think that there's that much, if any, duplication. I'll have to go and check out the track list, but I don't know. It's a lot of Coltrane all at once, but I think for those folks who are big fans of his, be great to have it. Comes with a 26-page booklet, and again, $199 for 7 LPs. It's I don't know. Don't get me wrong, it's expensive, but it's not that bad considering what you get. All right, so the next one is by Resonance Records, but not a Record Store Day release. In fact, this is coming out on September 19th. This is Charlie Rouse's Cinnamon Flower, but it is the expanded edition. Price point of $49.99. So what do you get for your $49.99? It's a double LP, but the original album put out by, I guess it was Douglas Records, was just a single LP. So what's the difference here? Well, when this was originally recorded, incidentally by George Claiborne, check out my recent interview series that I've been posting with George to talk about it. He originally recorded this album, and when it was originally put out, they had the sort of studio version, and then a producer came in and decided that they were going to overlay additional drums and synth and all of these things that kind of smoothed it out, and in some ways ruined it. So the original album is not a bad album, but what's really interesting about this with this double disc is that you get the original album as it came out, but then you also get the original studio session before they added all that extra stuff. And in my opinion, because I've listened to it already, it is superior and it is really good. I DJ around Atlanta, and some of the stuff on this album is this type of stuff that I would add to my set list. So as far as the details of this, it's transferred from the original master tapes by Matthew Luthans. It's pressed at LaVinylist, as is all really of Resonance Records material. And I think this is pretty exciting and also really interesting that George gets to not only have recorded the original, but then put out his original recording or his original sort of studio session now that he's with Resonance Records. It's just kind of like an interesting, sort of revisiting material that I guess that you were a part of in the past. So that one, again, coming out on September 19th, and I think, to my knowledge of this one, it's limited to a pressing of just 1,000 copies, so it is relatively limited. All right, so the next one is this one's a little weird, but it's Philly Joe Jones Blues for Dracula, coming out on September 12th. I say it's a little weird because, as far as I don't know, I've owned a copy of this for a long time. My copy is not in great shape, but Philly Joe Jones does a Dracula sort of impersonation on the on one of the songs, or maybe two of the songs, and then the rest is jazz. But it's one of those albums that I feel like folks take out just for Halloween because it is an absolutely ridiculous cover, as you'll see. And they play it then, but then maybe forget about it. There is some good music on this album. It is worthwhile on its own, but it's pretty strange that Real Gone Music is the one putting this out. They're putting it out in a purple coffin vinyl color version, and then kind of like a splatter edition. The purple coffin variant is limited to 750 copies, and then there's just 100 of the splatter. I think you have to buy direct in order to get the splatter edition. It's cheap. I mean, the thing is like, it's like $23 or $24. I did put in an order for the splatter edition just to see how it sounds. Is it silly? Yeah, it's probably a little silly. I think the music is deserving of maybe a more formal pressing by OJC or somebody else, but at the same time, there is that ridiculous impersonation by Philly Joe Jones. It's not good. So you kind of have to get past that. So it's silly almost just by its by its very nature, but there is some worthwhile music, as I said, on this album. All right, last but certainly not least, because I'm actually quite excited about this one. This is Chet Baker, 5 from 65, or 5 from 1965, the Quintet Summer Sessions. This is coming out on September 12th. It is being put out by the UK outfit Newland Records. So what is this? It is a box set consisting of 5 different albums that Prestige put out in the 1960s. They include Boppin', Groovin', Smokin', Comin' On, and Cool Burnin'. These are excellent albums that Chet Baker put out after some of his prison stint, but they're really excellent. He's paired with great musicians. The sessions sound great. I have a couple of these in their original format, but not all of them. They've proven to be difficult to source, especially in decent shape. And so I personally think that this is really exciting. So it's a all analog editions remastered by Kevin Gray from the original analog mono tapes. So these are mono editions of each of these albums, and they are packaging it similar to how Newland has, I think, in the past. They put together, I think, some really high quality boxes for their box sets. This is going to come in a sort of over box or whatever, like a lift off box with new artwork, but then each of the individual albums do have the original artwork on them. So they didn't completely redo it. It's just they kind of have new artwork for a box. So this is certainly one that I'm quite excited about. And yeah, so September 12th. So a lot of these, it feels like a lot of these are just coming up really soon, and I understand that that's probably a lot to take in terms of prioritization. This is one that was announced a little while ago, so I put my pre-order in, and it's like I'm spreading my money over a period of time, and it doesn't feel like it hurts so much. I've also been selling a bunch on eBay lately to try to offset some of these purchases, as well as just thin the herd around here. So anyway, yeah, very excited about that one. So those are the four that are coming out in September, one in October. As I said, I'm excited about each of these. I pre-ordered each of these. Not to say you have to, but again, I put in the effort to think about all the stuff that's coming out, and try to consider what do I want to spend my money on. And possibly the Philly Joe Jones is was not the best idea, but some of these others I'm actually pretty excited to take in. And of course as I get them in, I'm sure that I'll be doing some review videos or provide some more deeper thoughts, I guess, on whether these were worthwhile. So I hope this kind of compilation of email notifications that I've been getting lately from different labels is helpful for some of you out there. And yeah, so maybe keep a lookout for some of these releases in the next couple of months. Thanks everyone, as always, for sticking with me, and I'll see you next time.